You know how we always talk about communication? Like, communication is so important with oneself and with others. Especially for people who have a very vivid imagination. How can I say this? You know, I talk to myself a lot. And so I can make up a lot of stories in my head. And if you're alone a lot, then you start to repeat those stories or engage in those stories or expand on those stories. And if you're alone too much, those stories start to become your reality. And so you have to be very careful with that. But and it's also, people who are so tapped in. Also, it's like, because we do have access to so much, I was going to say everything, but to so much, it is like a candy store, and your imagination does go wild, and we can hear and see so much, and there's just so much, right? And so to me, it's even more crucial that it's clear communication with the people you're with. So we've talked about this in varying ways, because I can sense things, feel things, see things, hear things, and I'm not going to call you out. Maybe I should start calling. Maybe that's part of the problem. And yet, it's like, I really don't know how to explain this, and I'm trying to, because I think it'll be beneficial for people who are similar to me, or people who are dealing with people who are similar to me, where it really is truth, clarity, and communication. Where I feel like it's that simple with people like me, who have big imaginations and who are just looking to feel good and be honest and are capable of picking up on so much. It's like, I'm not judging for you. I could give a fuck. I'm trying to judge for me. But if it's muddy water and I can't see, but I know there's shit there, then eventually I'm just going to leave, because then I can't trust you. So it's like, I know some people they're afraid, or this or that or this. And it's like, look, it's actually pretty simple. Just speak your truth. Who fucking cares? Right? It's like sometimes they'll show it, like relationships, right? So say somebody like me who's very intuitive, and so it kind of freaks them out. And it's like, don't let it freak you out. They don't care. They're not judging you. They're judging for themselves. But if they can sense you're hiding stuff, you're dancing around, sometimes they can pick up, depending on who they are, they can pick up on your thoughts. They can pick up on all these things. But they can't see the full clear picture. So if you can't communicate the clear picture, if you can't be honest on what's going on, they're going to start mistrusting you. And then the relationship will crumble, because it can't be built on mistrust, because mistrust simply breeds more mistrust. And if they attempt to communicate with you, but you're too scared to communicate, it is going to send the signal that you're hiding even more. So it's either fine, you really, really are not a match, or if you want to make it work, you have to push through those fears and learn how to communicate better. And I know I'm making it that simple, because it is, right? So the person who may not be tapped in to their intuition, because everybody has it, and may not have all of their senses, including their sixth senses, heightened, simply because they're not tuned in, is also running stories in their mind. That's why they're dealing with fear, right? So they too are doing the same thing, but they're not being true and clear and honest. And even saying that, like, I'm scared. I really like you. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just being willing to open up and be that. It is willing to be vulnerable. Like, how bad do you want it? Right? Are you going to let it pass you by because you're letting your fear run your show? Or are you going to take that chance, take that opportunity? Or are you going to let it pass you by? It's up to you. If you let fear run your show, you're letting things pass you by. And we've all experienced this, some of us to much bigger degrees than others. I know that's been the case for me for a lot of things. There's been a lot of things that I will talk myself out of, convince myself of why I don't need to do, go, be, whatever. And it's a fear. And the other thing is it's not always a fear, right? Sometimes you just don't want to. But you can make either pattern or both patterns so familiar that you don't recognize it when you're doing one or the other. It's this idea that everybody's basically a robot. You're all running on autopilots, on past experiences, past conclusions, old data, old information. You haven't updated your system. You haven't come to the present moment. You haven't chosen in the here and now. You chose way back when you had a similar experience and you're convinced that's what it is forevermore. So you turned off your switch and just ran on that autopilot. And you haven't turned the switch back on to wake the fuck up and decide right here and right now to make different choices, to take a chance that, oh my God, it might be different now. It might be different now. I might have a different experience. Maybe I'll choose a different pathway. Maybe it'll be better this time. And I know that can be scary, right? Or challenging. And it can be challenging because it requires you to stay present, to stay in the moment. And that can be challenging for some of us, where our mind is used to running. So even if you've healed things, if your mind is used to running and searching in the past or trying to figure something out in the future, you have to really learn to calm it down and to come in the here and the now, to indulge in the present, in the moments right here, right now. And so that's a new form of training, but that's a good new challenge or a good new puzzle or a good new interest for you. And it is for you on many, many levels. They're showing, it's like... So yeah, they're showing what they were showing me earlier about it is this like communication, and it is going into the unknown, right? Like, you know what you're familiar with, what you've chosen you don't like. So stop going back there. Stop thinking about that. Stop behaving that way, saying those things, doing that thought process, all that stuff. I'm having a hard time verbalizing. It's like some of us, so I've done everything I'm suggesting for you, where I've had to heal from things, and then I've had to retrain my brain, and I've had to retrain coming back to the present moment, and I've had to, like, all of that does take time. Is it worth the effort? I think so. And yet those new experiences haven't always worked out either, right? So then it is a feeling of disappointment versus seeing it as what it is. Like, it's just a new experience. It's new data. It's new information for your nervous system. And we constantly need to offer that to our nervous system for ourselves. And yet, the best way I can say it is, if you go in it wholeheartedly and earnestly, and yet you've had bad experience after bad experience, you can do a couple things. You can gaslight yourself, thinking, well, I guess there's something still wrong with me because I keep having these bad experiences. So then you go back to automatic pilot of searching and figuring it out and determining and deciphering, which that's not wise, right? Like, it's not using the wisdom you've extrapolated from all the past to stop doing that. You can go into depression. You can go into both and make yourself crazy. between trying to figure out something that occurred that you can't change and getting depressed about it. All these things, in my opinion, are all very negative things, right? And so it's the idea of snap out of it and come back to the present moment and keep trying. And I get that some get tired of trying, right? So they give up on love, or they give up on themselves, or they give up on loving themselves, because it's loving to yourself to keep trying. It's to make yourself happy, but it's in that you tell yourself the right thing, and that you see where you're not telling yourself the right thing so you can change it and keep moving forward, but not staying stuck or stagnant or constantly doing a full overhaul. But still, it is kind of like a juggling act, right? There was something else regarding this. It is a juggling act in you hear a lot of contradictory information, and we've talked about in the past where it's not necessarily, this is important here and now. And then once you get past that stage, you have to drop it. And now this is important in here and now because you've mastered that. So you don't need to focus on it anymore. It's integrated. So now you need to go to the next step. So it's kind of the idea of training your mind to stay in the present moment so that you can feel in your body and experience. And so you want to get to the point where you are in unison. And so you can be feeling it and deciding in present time, in real time, versus one being ahead of the other. And in other words, you hear me say, I want you to focus. Well, that's using your mind, using your tool. And then I say, but go from your heart. Choose how you want to feel. And so it's they have to work in unison, but they have to be getting along. They have to be clear. They have to love one another. So that bridges the nervous system. You have to be able to trust yourself. You have to be able to love yourself. You have to be able to know yourself. You have to be able to be willing to be you with you. You have to be true to you. You have to be authentic. And so that can take time. That can take time because if you have run from you for so long, seeking outside oneself, not knowing oneself, it's going to take a while to repair that relationship and rebuild that bridge to work on that nervous system. And that really is just simply a process, and it simply is time, but it's not time that's healing it, because time can go on and on and on and on, and you aren't putting in the love and the attention. You're not pouring into yourself. You're not slowing down and understanding these things. So you could go on seeking outside yourself forevermore, and then never getting to know you, never getting to love you. So time goes on and on and on, but you're not healing. So it takes more than just time. It takes your willingness to love oneself and the desire to love oneself, the desire to truly feel good. To truly feel good, you have to be in unison with your mind and your body. So you both have to be working. They both have to be working for you. You have to be the common goal. You being your heart, your truest heart's desire. That has to be the common goal that your mind and your body have to get on board with and be in unison with, so that you're all working on the same team. Where we've talked about this before, it is like your friend group, or it is like your a work situation. If you all want to be the lead, you're all going to be competing with one another and essentially sabotaging one another and stagnating anybody's growth. But if you can all get on board that there's one mission and everybody's aiming for it, it can be a beautiful symphony, because you all have individual jobs that you're talented at, right? Your mind is genius and has great abilities, and is a phenomenal tool for us to utilize. And our body is phenomenal how it knows how to teach us in feeling, in response. And is showing us all the time how it feels about our thoughts. And so if they're arguing with one another all the time, where you're inputting thoughts that your body disagrees with, then you guys are all fucking bickering and fighting all the time. Your mind and your body and you. And nobody's taking charge. Nobody's ahead. You're all just competing and outdoing one another and fighting with one another and causing havoc. You're just wreaking havoc and hurting who? You. You're all hurting you. What the fuck is going on in there? Who the fuck is in charge? Right? And so you do have to take the lead. You do have to step up. You do have to take charge and input the correct fucking information and have the right systems in place that, I don't want to say compromise, but everybody is in agreement on, right? It's like, all right, what's the goal here? Right? And how can we get in unison, right? You want to feel good. We want okay, well, I didn't know that was the goal. I got so used to saying or doing these things and the body reacting in a negative way that I got familiar with that negative feeling. I got familiar with that pain and thought it was normal. I normalized that pain. I normalized those sensations. I normalized that thought pattern because we didn't switch them. We didn't change them up. We didn't go into the unknown and pick something else. We didn't do that work, right? And that's really our job to do that work, our higher selves, to take the lead, right? And so you have to get in unison with you. You have to be in charge of you. You have to lead your show, your ship, and you are, but are you doing it in harmony? Are you doing it with grace and ease? Does it feel good? Are you consciously choosing it? Or are you just running on autopilot and had no fucking clue? You just were dead asleep, deep asleep for so long. You had no clue. Right? And sometimes we need that bump to wake us back up, to bring us back online, back into the present moment, and be like, holy shit. And again, depending on how long you're asleep, it can fucking suck. It can suck because it's like, shit, how did I let that go on for that long? Let's just use something simple. And because I've shared this with you many a times, and I feel like it's a good one and an easy one in the sense that, people can relate, but you have to apply it to bigger principles for you. But let's just say you get in the routine of a good eating habit, an exercise routine, but then you no longer stay present and feel the movement in your body or what you're eating. And because you just become so routine, so automatic, and you don't have in your routine, in your automatic, a switch up. Right? You don't have it, you're not staying present enough to be conscious enough to recognize it's time to switch. And so you get on this autopilot, auto run. Well, when that starts to go to sleep, because it's just running automatically, so it's asleep, you're not conscious to it. You're not paying attention to it. Other things can creep up or pop up. And so even emotional eating or not eating on time or not whatever, because you didn't think you had to stay present there. You thought you had that down pat. You didn't have to worry about it. You didn't have to feel that. You didn't have to waste your energy, your time, your brain power to focus there. And so you turned off. You turned off during those times. Well, you could turn off for so long. Or even they're showing like, or skip practice, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Next thing it rolls into 3 months, 3 years. And you're like, what happened? What happened? How did this happen? And then you get upset with yourself because your body and your mind have deteriorated. Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when we go offline. We start to deteriorate. You're either growing or you're dying, right? And so to continue growing, you have to choose. But if you're tired of choosing and you take a nap and you don't set the alarm, then you could wake up 10 years later and have no idea what the fuck went on for the last 10 years. As I'm saying all this, I'm also recognizing, it only takes one person to say the right thing to resonate and wake you up, really. Yet, let's just take, this is what they're showing, and I do find it to be true. If, say I'm saying this to 100 people, and they're dead asleep. So they think they're listening. They think they understand. They think they can apply it. They think they've gotten it. But they're just inputting that and they're still running on autopilot. It is like talking into the wind, because they can become the robotic regurgitators who are spouting the rhetoric but don't know how to utilize the information because they can't actually hear me. They can't actually hear me. They can regurgitate it, they can repeat it, but they're not integrating it because they don't understand it, because they're not awake to hear it. And yet, this is why you hear people will say things like, even if I'm only doing it for one person, because they're spent. They have come to that stage of the game where they recognize, oh, I'm talking to a bunch of dead people. They're totally asleep. I thought they were getting it because they're regurgitating and repeating back to me. No. They're just implanting into that robotic machine and regurgitating and repeating. They're not integrating it. They don't get it. And so that can be exhausting when on one hand you thought you were getting through, and then when you get to the stage of the game when you recognize you're not, it can be frustrating and exhausting. And then you'll hear somebody say, like, does one person, please God, right? Am I doing this for nothing? And it's like, well, we're doing it for ourselves. It's helping ourselves stay present. It's helping ourselves entertain our own mind, to indulge in our thoughts, to determine what does and doesn't feel good for us, even though we've likely gotten past that stage. It's a way to keep our mind, tantalized and awake and still thriving and striving for more. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. They're showing, because I thought that's interesting. They're saying thriving and striving for more, because at what point is enough? And it's like, well, unfortunately, that is a fine line. It is a fine line, because if we get to the place where we are no longer thriving or striving for more, for better, for new, then it's a fine line, because I know to me, that's the time of the idea of the nap, right? The idea of indulging in the present moment and staying in that peace and that calm and that steadiness. Yet I think it's important to always have sometimes like bigger background goals that you're always working on. In that, let's say you have set up your life and you've gotten yourself in a situation and routines and whatnot that the things that you can make automatic so that you don't have to waste your time and energy on are done. They're set up. They're in place, right? Like, you have your cleaner come a certain time every week. You have your groceries taken care of. You have like things that you don't need to pour so much presence into, right? Because you have decided and set up those routines and situations to your liking, and you do not need to think about them for now anyway, for a time. And you do get all this stuff set up. You do get your whole life set up into such a way that when the stuff that's important to you that you're working on and you want to remain present for, you're able to do such. And yet, say you've accomplished a lot of those things, so you want to, it's like rest on your laurels for some time and indulge and enjoy. And I think you should. And I think you should celebrate your wins, because that's really important. You hear me talk about how I do not do that. I don't do that enough. I just keep running, racing. That can lead to burnout, and that can lead to dissatisfaction and confusion and delusion, because it makes you start to think that you're in some form of race of which you are not. You're only competing against yourself. But if you don't slow down and indulge in the wins and enjoy that time, you're just confusing yourself more based on what I just said. But so, okay, all that said, they're showing like these bigger background noise goals. So it's kind of like that idea where I don't know how to say what they're showing. I think they're attempting to get me to say like, it's like bigger dreams, but they're showing two variations where it's like, it's almost like they want, I mean, I say they want you, but it could be just me. They want you to, how do I verbalize this? It's like to have background, bigger dreams, some that might be so lofty and so over the top or so extraordinary that you indulge in that imagination, to indulge in that feeling, but also acknowledge that it's so wild that it has that separate container of allowance of that indulgence without the disappointment. Does that make sense? It's like truly allowing your mind to indulge in such fantasies beyond your current wildest dreams. And it's a way to indulge in that and to maybe one day bring it towards you, but it's not really the goal. The goal is more to indulge in that ability to fantasize and imagine, right? To indulge in that skill set that you have. And that in itself is what is so delicious and exciting. And because that's what's the indulgent part of it, you're not disappointed when it doesn't come true, because this is hard to say like this, but because you didn't believe it to become true. I always want you to believe in yourself and your dreams. So that's why I'm like, I'm trying to be very careful here, because it's like, yes, you can manifest and believe anything and make it come true. And I want you to do that. But this is showing me like they want you to always have that background imagination that is just for the enjoyment of the imagination, simply for that enjoyment, because it's so decadent. It is so indulgent to truly swim in your imagination. It's so phenomenal. It's so fantastical that it's like, take the time to do that for yourself, just for that luxury. That luxury. Being in that luxury is so delicious. So it's having that, right? So it's not necessarily a goal, but it's that other world that you imagine of, that you enjoy going to, but you very much love coming back to your here and now in your present life, because you're also very present in your present life and remain present in your present life 70% of the time. right? And you only indulge in that fantastical world maybe 15% of the time. And please, whatever numbers work for you, I'm just trying to talk here because I'll go off on 45 different things if I over-explain each thing I'm saying. And then the other 15% of the time, they're showing having that more realistic, lofty dream. And again, I'm hesitant to say that more realistic because then people can underplay their dreams, where it's I don't want you to underplay your real dreams. I want you to choose your real dreams. So it's allowing your mind to float that 15% of the time where you're not choosing. You're allowing that floating. You're allowing that flotation and allowing it to run wild. But then the other 15% of the time where you are dreaming wild too. And maybe you even dare to believe that it could come true. And I want you to be that way. I want you to believe it could come true. But it's also that fantastical that you might not be 100% in. You might be like, no, I just love indulging in one day. But I'm going to take 15% of my day every day, or 15% of my life, where I dedicate my mind to relax and indulge in what it would really feel like if I really did live that life, right? And really let your mind open up to that wild, yet it happens, maybe only 1 in a million, but it happens, fantasies. What would you choose? What would you choose if nothing mattered? There were no limits. There was nobody judging you. There was nobody telling you no. There was nobody you had to answer to. There was nobody you had to ask. There was no anything. There's no guards. There's no distractions. There's no nothing. You get to decide. You get to create whatever world would be so oh my God, I get to do this, and this is mine, and I can do that, and I can do this, and I can do that. Oh my God, really? Right? If you start to give yourself that permission to fully indulge in that, that will continue to evolve over time as well. And it's a way to actually build your confidence, because when you're in those spaces and you get so excited for those spaces and you make those spaces so real, because you're giving yourself that quiet time, that alone time to really go there without any interruptions, without any worries, without any concerns, where you really, really can go there. You can really go there in your mind. You can allow your nervous system to get familiar with those feelings that feel so good to you, because only you know, only you are indulging in that. Only you are determining, and only you know what really, really lights you up. And so when you take that time, it is crucial to take that time, because it's for your nervous system, it's for your confidence, it's for your peace of mind, it's for your excitement, it's for your hope. And the more you do that, the more relaxed you're going to be throughout life. And then the more relaxed you are throughout life, and the other 70% of the time where you're consciously, hopefully still consciously, choosing and deciding certain things, you can start to choose you more and more. You know what? I think I'd like to go here. I think I'm going to listen to that nudge. I think I'm going to go over here. I think I'm going to do this. And so you start taking these little small steps that you think have nothing to do with those other 15 and 15, right? Those other two parts of the remainder, the 30% of your life. And next thing you know, you start merging into those other lives, and they start becoming your life. And these are the stories you hear where people wake up and they're like, I just woke up one day and I don't know, I did consciously choose this house and this car and this life and this world and these people but I mean, it felt like it happened overnight because it felt like yesterday I was waitressing, and now I'm living what I used to dream about. But I literally used to dream about this. Or you'll hear people say, not that I'm encouraging you to do this or not do this, but it's like, I had put that on my vision board. I'm just saying that because I feel like you hear people say that. Your vision board can be in your mind, right? And I hope it is in your mind all the time. So it's not just a board you're looking at. People say to do that because it's also good to actively, it forces you to consciously go, cut out, look at, touch. It's like writing. It's like talking. It's like doing all these things where it's a further integration. It's helping you make it more real. And then, going to it more and more. But if you're like me and have a very active imagination, you can slip into that anywhere, anytime, any place. And this is why you can seem like you're at peace amongst chaos, because you're able to go into those special spots in your mind when there's all chaos around you and there's no control you have over other people, but you have control over you. So when you've done all you can do, right? And the best thing to do is indulge in that fantasy, right? You're sitting down, you're safe in your reality, but you're in the midst of a storm. Well, go in your mind, be at peace. Don't absorb or take in the chaos around you, but go into your shell and put your hard covering on and indulge in your mind until the storm dies down. I'm not telling you to slip from reality. I'm telling you, when you have the time and it's safe to do such and you're not escaping, right? The reason I'm making this point is because some people can start to use it as a form of escapism. And it's a very fine line. It really is, because it is escaping when you're indulging in it. But I'm suggesting you indulge in it while still being very much grounded in the present reality 70% of your life. It's like taking that dedicated time. This is the idea of, so the idea of the other 15%, where I want you to let your mind float, where you're not directing and leading it, you're not choosing, you're not putting any caps or lids or any known variables, but you're allowing it to fully float in the unknown. So it'll come up with its own wackadoodle that you could never have imagined. That's the idea to me of more of meditation, where you're clearing you out. You're clearing out your tool. You're keeping your mind, your tool shut off. But your heart is going into a blank open space and creating from there. And again, I know I use these words and they make complete sense to me, but then I'm like, I don't know that people, because it's how I know, it's how I speak to me, it's how I know me. But I'm aware that my words, my definitions, my understandings, my imagery, all these things are mine. And so they don't always match up with what other people utilize those words and tools and images for. It's just like the word God, It's like that has a very different meaning, imagery, feeling to me. I've only discovered this over a lifetime, that people use that word so loosey-goosey and mean millions of different things. And so I too utilize that word in different ways at different times, but nobody is saying, oh, this is God point 1, this is God point 2, this is God point 3. We just use that same word and think everybody knows exactly what we mean, when and where, because of how it's placed in our sentences. But we're utilizing those other words in those sentences, again, based on our own current definition and placement. So it can be challenging to communicate with others, can it? Especially somebody like me. I imagine it is. I imagine. I am told I'm difficult. I imagine. Oh, well, it is what it is. We can only offer our best. This is what it is. This is what you got. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.